Hi, my name is Christopher Malcolm, and welcome to Movable Canvas, where we talk about cinema, art, culture, and where those three things sometimes intersect. In today's episode, we'll discuss one of cinema's most influential directors' most influential films, Scenes from a Marriage, from Swedish director Ingmar Bergman in 1974. Scenes from a Marriage is a love story. Well, sort of. It's not a love story in the sense that might immediately come to mind from that definition. It's not about meet cutes or happily ever afters. There aren't any cute or cuddly sidekick characters to lighten the mood when the drama really kicks in. Instead, what Bergman has created is ultimately a two-hander, with no less ambition than to drill down deep into the core of a romantic relationship. The film is really essentially a two-person play. There are a handful of side characters that make appearances from time to time, but in practice, the film is a series of one-on-one scenes between husband and wife that play out over the course of their 20-year marriage. Well, technically the pair is only married for half of those 20 years, but more on that in a moment. Our film opens with a sheer masterclass in acting. One of the most common refrains you'll likely hear from your less film-obsessed friends when you recommend they watch a foreign film is a complaint that they don't want to read subtitles. Aside from the fact that I know perfectly well that these people know how to read, the most frustrating thing about this response for me has always been that to refuse to read subtitles means you are willingly depriving yourself of enjoying many of the greatest films of all time. Don't get me wrong, I'm a proud American, I work in Hollywood, we make great movies, but that doesn't mean that we make all the great movies. So for me at least, it's simply not possible to call yourself a true cinephile without seeing all the world has to offer. Yet the thing that makes Scenes from a Marriage so powerful isn't necessarily only in the dialogue. That may sound strange for a film that is essentially a play. The sets are decidedly minimal. At the time, the set seemed to consist of little more than a piece of white plywood erected behind the actors. In terms of cinematography, Bergman's compositions are strong. His compositions are always strong, but there aren't as many memorable frames as you might usually think of from his collaborations with legendary cinematographer Sven Nykvist in films like Winterlight, Through the Glass Darkly, or The Virgin Spring. Many entire scenes in Scenes from a Marriage consist mainly of long, unbroken close-ups of the actors as they deliver lines and react to often brutal responses. It's as if Bergman was intentionally trying to strip away all the artifice and focus the audience's attention only on what mattered, the small details. In that opening scene I mentioned, the married couple is being interviewed by a local newscaster about their marriage. The scene is filled with dialogue, but what is actually important is what's happening between the words. It's a rare example of pure dialogue scene where one could watch it without the subtitles and still know exactly what's going on. These two are happily married, or at least they claim to be. The husband, Johan, is successful in his career. He has a beautiful wife and 2 children. He seems very pleased with himself. His wife, Marianne, well, she's happy that he's happy. Like many real relationships, pleasantries and politeness are hiding unfulfilled needs just beneath the surface. When we are in a successful relationship, we often overlook the little things in favor of the greater good. Nobody's perfect after all. So we hold on to the good things and make do with the things we wish were better. But over time, those things don't just go away. Instead, they just fester in the darkness and can eventually start to eat away at whatever good things still remain. Even in this opening scene, if you're watching their behavior instead of just listening to the words, you can start to see the cracks in the seams. Watch Marianne's eyes when her husband is talking. Watch the subtle shifts in his performative smile as she's talking. That is, when she gets a chance to talk. This is not an equitable relationship. But it's working for Johan, so why would he complain? And for Marianne, it could be worse. A later scene where the couple is on a double date with another couple and witness firsthand that couple's deteriorating marriage only confirms for them how lucky they are. At least they aren't like those two. But that couple in reality is just further ahead in their pain. They have reached the point where they can no longer perform happiness in order to maintain appearances. The bitterness is seeping out onto the surface, beyond their control. Marianne and Johan do a better job of keeping their own quibbles under wraps. They are better at fooling themselves into thinking everything is okay and behaving well in public. But their time will come. There are 2 scenes in particular where the simmering pot boils over that deserve mention. After Johan has commenced an affair with a colleague, he announces to Marianne that he intends to end their marriage. The brilliance of the scene is really a masterclass in acting and storytelling. Oftentimes, the most effective move you can make as a storyteller is to do the unexpected. I mean, I think it's safe to say that most of us were our spouses to tell us that not only are they cheating on us, but that they're going to leave us, would have a few words to say, most of them being four-letter words. But examine the way Marianne responds. Instead of being furious at her husband leaving, she expresses concern that he's never very good at packing his bags for trips. And so she offers to help him pack a suitcase. Not in a snarky way, not like, well, good, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Instead, she responded as a dutiful wife, even as her world is being rocked and brought to its knees. It's a devastating moment, a humiliating moment, really, but it tells you so much about her character. And despite it being a reaction completely different than what we would expect, it feels 100% true to that character. Special shout out here, by the way, to Liv Ullmann. My God, this woman is good. Just look at her eyes throughout the film, and you'll see just the entire film just through her gaze. Later, when the pompous Johann has finally served his divorce papers, his faux cheerful persona gives way to anger and physical violence. It's unclear what tips him over the edge, the idea of finalizing their divorce, or the fact that his wife finally finds the courage to stand up to him, but the ramifications are ugly. This level of physical brutality that we might have always suspected him to be capable of unleashes itself in a truly nasty way. Yet even through this altercation, the characters continue to respond in non-cliched ways. They never do exactly what you think they're going to do, and that's the key to keeping the film engaging despite the limited confines of the setting. The film's 168-minute running time is actually a cut down from 6 50-minute episodes that aired as a miniseries on Swedish television. Over the course of its running time, Bergman is able to not only show us the fault lines of the marriage, but the idiosyncrasies of human behavior that continue to draw the two of them together. It's probably clearer to audiences today than it was in 1974 that Marianne should really leave her husband. Their relationship is codependent, but it's also quite toxic. I find myself audibly imploring Ullmann's character to just leave his ass multiple times when watching the film. But if we take the Hollywood dream version of love off the plate, we will find that most human relationships are incredibly complicated. People don't always act in their own best interests. Sometimes we find ourselves bonded to each other beyond reason and doing our best to see the best in our situation rather than seeking ways to improve. Instead of the fairy tale and scenes from a marriage, Bergman has painted a portrait of real people, and it seems that was his goal all along. Thanks again for watching another episode of Movable Canvas. If you like this kind of material, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. I try to post a new video each month where we break down some of the best films Hollywood and the world have to offer. And please leave me a comment. What did you think of the characters and scenes from a marriage? How good is Liv Ullmann, really? I mean, good gravy. And what other films have you seen that really get to the core of marriage? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And until then, thanks for watching and have a nice day.